Hello and welcome to the Trading Zone. I'm Joe Teague. Hope everyone had a great weekend. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you just say hi to me in the chat. I hope you enjoy what's going on. This is just going to be me today. I'll be without Brian today. I'll be talking about quantum computing and Bitcoin. I think that might be interesting to a lot of people. I know it's interesting to me. I find it fascinating. Got any questions about it? Got any thoughts about it? Let me know. Happy to just talk about it all, share it all with you. Hope you all had a good weekend. This is the first week I'm coming to you after a Lions loss in a long time. My sweet Lions, poor me. They lost to the Bears. Oh, it's so bad. It's so sad. But they'll get over it. There's another game next week, and it's been a great ride so far, and I'm here for it. It's just been fun to see. Anyways, let's get into the show. I'll just jump it in quickly. I don't know if you guys have heard of this prominent fund manager, but he's often with me on these Monday shows, Brian Stutland, talking about Palantir potentially having a great second half of the year, sees 60% upside. This was back in March. Nice call by us and Brian here back in March, and you've been watching this very closely, of course. Very interesting to see. We also, have been watching other things like the upcoming Fed meeting this week. It's going to be interesting to see that there's going to be a dot plot after the meeting. I think that's going to be the crucial thing with the Fed meeting this week. No one's expecting anything other than the 25 basis point cut. I think the Fed's going to give us that. But what will be a surprise, what will be news, is what the dot plot says. How many cuts does the committee see in 2025? I think that'll be news for the market. I think the market's going to move on that. If we get more cuts than we expect, or even just kind of in line with what we're expecting, because really the market's kind of pricing in fewer cuts than the Fed has been saying. So if we get an inline or more cuts than expected, I think the market will view that positively. If they are going to normalize interest rates like they said they're going to do, I think we could see lower dollar, or we could see lower interest rates. We could see tech stocks continue to rally. I think for the growth names, that would be really good news. And for me, like I've been saying on the show all year long, for as long as I can remember, I've been talking about all the warnings in the market, talking about the yield curve, talking about, the jobs numbers looking iffy here and there, talking about some of the weak links in the chains of the economy. But as long as the economy has been strong, the market's going to do just fine. And so far, the economy has stabilized just fine. I think it's been because the government spending has been so robust. Will that continue next year? We'll see. But it has been just fine as in terms of the economy, and nothing has changed there. Last week, we also traded in AVGO. It's been hot to go. We were talking about this last week. Had a great trade. I'll recap that trade in a few minutes. Got any questions about it? Make sure to let me know. But yeah, what a banger report. Just almost looks like an NVIDIA moment for them. But in reality, we shouldn't really think of it of an NVIDIA moment. Like I was talking about last week, if you believe the NVIDIA story, you have to think that AVGO was going to do this. They did exactly that. If you believe that people are loading up these data centers with NVIDIA computers, then AVGO is going to have to participate, because you can't have one without the other. These supercomputers that NVIDIA is making needs to be connected to something and to each other, and they need to be able to get that data to them. So you have to have AVGO there as a part of that story. And yeah, they broke out in a big way and showed up this week, and it has been fun to see. And I'll recap that trade we did last week, because it was a good one, a good idea, of course. And of course, we're getting Bitcoin hitting all-time highs again, over 106,000, just an incredible run up. There is some FOMO happening in a big way. I don't know exactly what this is all about, other than people maybe think that they're missing out. And bottom line, there's more buyers than there are sellers, which makes the price go higher. There was some rumors about Trump saying something about a U.S. strategic reserve of Bitcoin. I'm not sure exactly what that would mean. But there is also the narrative that this quantum computing could be the end of Bitcoin, or it could somehow crack Bitcoin and allow somebody to mine all of the coins immediately. It could allow people to crack the algorithm and just steal coins out of people's wallets. It depends on this cybersecurity. It depends on this cryptography, which these quantum computers seemingly can break. Now we'll talk about that later in the show. I have some thoughts on that. I don't want to spoil it all right now before we get into it, but I'm excited to share that with you all. Finally, we have the narrative going on around the world. The rest of the world is kind of slowing down. We have Germany and Europe broadly slowing down. Of course, we also have China slowing down. Now, usually when they slow down, they throw a lot of stimulus at the market and the economy. They haven't done that so much so far. They have been really easing. They have really easing policies, very pro-growth, but they haven't thrown money at it. So we'll see what happens, how it plays out. It is very interesting. I think it does put pressure on Europe when it comes up, but their retail sales are just slow. Their economy is just kind of dragging along. So anyways, we'll see how that plays out. Bottom line is, it's been a great weekend, minus the Lions game, but it's been a great week. Looking forward to the end of the year, because it's looking like Santa Claus is coming for stock market. So I hope you all are doing well. Again, reach out to me, say hi, hit a comment down, got a question, reach out. Happy to answer it as we go. But let's get into the show. I think we've been talking long enough. I think it's time to start the show. Welcome to the Trading Zone. I'm Joe Teague, portfolio manager at Equity Armor Investments. It's good to have you here. Today we will be talking about, will quantum computers kill Bitcoin? A very interesting development. Of course, we know Willow last week coming out with a very fascinating discoveries. They found that they were able to decrease their errors exponentially the larger their qubits get. So I think that's very exciting for quantum computers, but what exactly does it mean for Bitcoin? What exactly does it mean for cryptography in general? I can't wait to discuss this all with you. I got a lot of thoughts in this. I'm sure you do as well. But immediate future for the week ahead, we're going to have the Fed policy decision coming right up. We're going to have their dot plot. I think the dot plot is going to be more important than the fact that they're cutting 25 basis points. I want to see what the committee thinks they're going to cut for 2025. That will be crucial for the rest of the year. And then we just have the Santa Claus rally. We have this risk on trade. Bitcoin as a big part of that risk on trade. Santa Claus rally, AVGO leading semis higher. Risk on is happening around equities right now. So it's exciting right now. Hopefully we can continue this rally, push through the end of the year. The rest of this week, we do have MU, ARM earnings. Interesting to see maybe more of that AI infrastructure playing out. We'll see how it goes. ARM, much higher multiples than AVGO, which we traded last week. We had a trade ID on AVGO last week. In the SKU index, we are ticking up a bit today. We have stocks higher, vol higher. That usually can mean a move can be coming. That said, though, we're coming off very low levels here in the SKU index. This is on the lower side in the range. We were expecting to see kind of volatility stabilize here. Now, if this were the VIX, you'd be around 14, 15. We're expecting to see the VIX stabilize 15 to 18. I think that would be the new range. We are in December. December is a low volatility month seasonally. We got lots of holidays going on here. People take vacation, etc. After the year starts, we start to see volatility pick up again. So that's what I expect to see in the SKU also. But interesting to see, we are just kind of picking up here. It would be notable if we make we get above this level, make a little bit of a higher high there. Just something we'll be watching here. In the VIX futures, this was pre-election. This is the last pre-election number we're going to have here. This is 2 months ago, of course, and yeah, that was a different world. I can't believe that was less than 2 months ago. It seems like so long ago. But here we are right here, this current line in red, more normalized skew. Very interesting to see how close the spot is with the cash, and it's been that way for some time. So there's a little bit of indecisiveness. Usually you see a little bit more of a gap here, but we'll see how that plays out. Really can lead to a little bit more volatility into this front month if if we do see a move in the spot, it will move with that closely, especially the closer we get to expiration here in December. So that could be some short-term volatility in the December future. I'll be watching for S&P 500 trends. We are still riding this trend line higher, not cracking above it, of course, but still having a very nice time of this trend line. Still heading higher here nicely, not too shabby at all. Just consolidating here at the end of the year too, whereas the NASDAQ and tech stocks have done the lion's share of the work lately, really taken off at the end of last week after AVGO said it is HOTGO, which, took these semis right back to this level. I think this is the key to this bull market next year. I'd want to see these semis, having 6 months of this consolidation here. We had maybe this NVIDIA went the reverse split. Things got really lofty here in June. People were expecting the sky to just be not the limit, I guess, in NVIDIA. And, NVIDIA is kind of in the same spot too, but it's consolidated here. We've been able to hold water here. I think this is good news. I'd love to see this formation just continue up here and then maybe a little of that, a couple of handle. I don't know. But just consolidating here is great. We're recovering by time here. And I think it really bodes well for the next year. And the AVGO story just really confirms the NVIDIA story to me. I mean, if people were saying NVIDIA is going to double again next year in their revenue, which is what they're projecting, how is that possible? AVGO is basically saying, yeah, it's possible. It's happening. We're seeing it too. So I think that's just great news for the semis broadly, great for this company. And last week, had a trade idea on, boy, did this hit in a big way, in a hurry. Bought this 175, 210 call spread, sold the 160 put, only paid 70 cents to get into the stock, which is very awesome that now, we're effectively bought it at 175 and now it's at 240. Now that said, we sold the 210 call. So it's kind of like we got stopped out at 210. It's already, 240 right now. So it's $20 or $30 in the money. But it's $22. So this maximum is going to turn into $35 on expiration if we expire above 210. So this is going to be something I'm going to be watching. I'm going to be looking to get even more out of this trade by selling a call spread further out on a pullback. We've seen, how high this has run lately. On a pullback back down to 220 or something, you could see maybe, okay, buying back this 210 call, selling out a 250 call, 240 call later in the year. I think that would be what I'll be looking to do. But in the meantime, I still got $13 to earn here on this trade idea, which has just been fascinating. Just looking at the semis broadly, again, this is what I was talking about. NVIDIA just had this run up. This is compared year-to-date comparison, NVIDIA versus AVGO. It had the run up, in June, just had this a lot of excitement. They had the reverse split. And then, we've seen a lot of consolidation here. I think it's fantastic that it's right at that level. But, I mean, this was all the same story. This is the AI infrastructure story. Now, I think there's better margins for NVIDIA. They have the CPUs are more important part of the data center, perhaps. But there's no question that if these data centers are being built as big as they are, if we need to build as many as we need, if we're talking about nuclear power is going to be needed to be run to be able to power all these data centers because there's not enough gas and coal or whatever else traditionally powers our homes, electricity available, that yes, these data centers are coming. So the story is there. It's there. So it was just a no-brainer for me. If you were watching last week, watching with NVIDIA with me, I think you got that story right now. So hope you did, and I hope you liked that trade idea. Keep on following us every week for more trade ideas, and I do have one. Stick around to the end of the show. I do have another one coming up, but right now let's get to the big story. So quantum computing is going to kill Bitcoin. That is what I've heard lately. Now, it makes a lot of sense why that could be true because, yes, Bitcoin is all about their cryptography and their secure blockchain, which is dependent on these really complex calculations, which can take years and years to calculate. They have really powerful ASIC machines, which are quote unquote mining this data, which is collecting all the data together, which is performing these really hard calculations, which take a lot of money, a lot of computing power to do, and it's getting harder and harder to go as Bitcoin gets bigger. But these supercomputers, these quantum computers, as I'm sure a lot of you know, they look at the problem a little bit differently, and they can solve these really complex problems really quickly. In fact, the one Google solved would take a traditional supercomputer something like 10 septillion years to solve. Their Willow chip was able to solve in 5 minutes. Now, they're able to basically look at all the possible answers at the same time with their quantum chip, which I think is just amazing. So that allows them to solve these things super fast, so that basically it's very effective for breaking codes. So these patterns are very easy for these quantum computers compared to the traditional computers. So that's why people are saying, hey, this is a big risk for Bitcoin. And I think that people should be aware of it, but they shouldn't necessarily mean that it's going to be the end of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, yes, Bitcoin has this encryption, and it absolutely is a risk to the security, of course. But quantum computers, of course, they have limitations. Now, there is going to be a way to make these cryptographies quantum proof. Now, the amazing thing about quantum physics is that these particles can be on, they can be off, they can be both at the same time. They can be what's known as superposition. But what is known about quantum physics is that once you observe a particle, it shuts off and it's only in one spot again. So that's going to be the hack to make these things quantified. But so what needs to happen is the Bitcoin community needs to get together and say, okay, this is coming. We need to have a new fork and make these calculations unquantumized, or I don't even know what the right way to say it is going to be. But there is a way to make these calculations not able to be accessed by a quantum computer. And again, once again, very hard to function again. It's just going to take people to get together. Now, there was a time when I was growing up in the 90s. Yes, I remember when there was a thing called Y2K. People predicted that when the year hit 2000, all of the computers would stop working. What ended up happening is that people were aware of the problem. Software was installed into computers, and there wasn't really an issue. I think we are still at the very early stages of this quantum computing era. Right now, only the very large companies have it. We have IBM, Google, and maybe China have these huge quantum computers capable of calculating calculations like this. And almost certainly only Google, as far as we know, at the very moment, can do this. So it's not something that's really happening anytime soon. Oh, and by the way, the computer that Google has is nowhere near powerful enough to actually do this quite yet. Now, Google's Willow chip is very promising. We could be closer and closer to a chip that could be able to make these calculations quick enough, but we're nowhere near it yet. So we have plenty of time to write some new code to get it into the system. For me, quantum computers is not going to be the end of the Bitcoin. The end of Bitcoin, for me, in my opinion, is going to be when it becomes a threat to the U.S. national security. I think the U.S. will be able to shut it down a lot faster than a quantum computer could. That's just my personal opinion. I know you might have some different ideas out there. Nice question coming in here from the audience. Thank you very much, Edward. Hi, Joe. Sorry about the Lions. I know. It hurts. Is commercialization of quantum computing in any way a threat to NVIDIA down the road? I think the types of calculations that quantum computing is doing and the types of calculations that are going into AI, I think they can be enhanced by each other, but I don't think they're going to be replacing each other. It's you still need, as far as I know, and I don't think it's going to be changing it anytime. You'd still need these very complex, big chandelier-looking machine to cool down the particles enough to be able to run a quantum computer. It's maybe in the future we'll be able to put that into a smaller device and be able to have it commercialized, but maybe at that point NVIDIA will be in that game. It's hard to tell, but NVIDIA has the software, they have the the hardware combined together on their AI chips. I think that's something 5-10 years down the road to see a commercialization of the quantum computers. I'd like to see it first, get into some laboratories, get into some colleges, some universities, get some physics professors using it, answering some of the bigger physics questions. I think that's like the best use case for it right now. Yes, can it make certain things faster? Absolutely. I think it's dangerous in the hands of bad actors like a government like China, Iran, Russia, looking to damage Western interests. I think that is dangerous. But practical everyday uses for people, I think that's a bit down the road. I don't think I'm worrying about that right now. I think for bigger applications to go into managing these data sets, it might be very useful for a company like Google, Microsoft, Amazon, etc. But for individuals, I don't think it's going to affect much. And by the way, I think you can just have one quantum computer in like one of the big labs or the big data centers, which kind of can help all of them operate a little better. I think that might be how the commercialization happens best. But it'll be interesting to see. I can't wait to see how things move, and things are moving very quickly, indeed. And I just this very chip just kind of describes how quickly things are moving, because the amazing thing they did wasn't Google. The amazing thing Google did wasn't that they solved this math problem, which would have taken a normal computer 10 septillion years to solve. The amazing thing that they did was that they invented a chip which was able to reduce the errors involved in quantum computing, and it was reduced exponentially as it got larger, which is just super, super important for quantum computing. It kind of makes it all possible. Remember, like the idea of like getting a number from a quantum computer is really strange and foreign, because we're looking for an observation in something where observing it makes it like turns it off, right? So it's almost like you just get like a random answer every time it spits it out. So it needs to be able to calculate itself and figure out what's wrong, what's right. And that's the big advancement, that Google is able to solve that problem seemingly, that the bigger the problem gets, the more calculations you get, the more qubits you use, the more accurate it gets. So that's the exciting thing that they get, which kind of sets the progress forward, that it's going to get bigger and faster, quicker than we previously thought, which is super exciting to me. Sorry for nerding out for a second. I hope you guys are all with me here. Anyways, we got Bitcoin here, just tremendous price here. I think there's a lot of other these risky assets we've seen lately. AVGO, great example. Would I want to buy it here? I mean, you say, hey, right here, yeah, you would have want to buy it here, even though we had this big run up. Well, we also had a nice consolidation here before we had the next run up. I think I'd be looking for that in AVGO and in Bitcoin, just a period of consolidation before the next period higher. Again, I could be wrong. It could be going to 1 million next, for all I know. But I'm not going to be jumping all in right here, right now. It does amaze me to think, gold is out there. Gold is another option to have a store of value. But for me, again, I mean, this is also an anti-inflationary store of value in theory. But Bitcoin is a complete different animal. Bitcoin is a store of value like risk on. I want anti-inflationary, but I want risk. Whereas gold is, I want risk off, hardcore risk off. I don't want cash. I don't want stocks. I want a hard metal. And that's where people turn to gold. And we've been in risk on mode. We've been having inflation. The stock market's been higher. So it makes sense to see this is a time when people are going to want to own Bitcoin. I question, though, what's going to happen if the stock market has a bad year. What's going to happen to Bitcoin? I think we should all be very cautious of that. I remember when it went to 60,000 the first time, very quickly retreated to lower than 20, under 20. So that would be a big drawdown here if we saw something like that. How would that react? How people react to that? We saw Bitcoin 35, 33,000. Would people be freaking out? I'm not sure. I mean, that's certainly in the cards. just be aware that's a possibility. Not saying it's going to happen, but it could happen. And for that reason why I think, the stock market's still going to be good. I'm not all in on Bitcoin. Of course, you know the reasons why, but I do like PayPal. I do think that Bitcoin and cryptocurrency broadly, digital currencies are on the rise. I think we're going to need more security for digital currencies. I think the current administration will be a little more favorable when it comes to trading these online. And I think PayPal will be a beneficiary for sure. And it's just been another company that's just had a nice run up, to say the least. Makes it hard for me to jump in up here like a lot of other areas. This is just an idea. But looking here, 85, got down to 85. I would consider buying it there. I think that would be a spot where, that would be something that would be interesting to me. Over 90, it's hard to pay $90 here for this stock. So similar to the trade idea last week, there's not a catalyst like an earnings event coming out, which could drive it higher. But similar to my trade idea last week, I am looking at another medium-term trade here. I'm going to buy a call spread, sell a put. So I'm selling two options. So I'm buying the call spread. I'm playing it to the upside, but I'm only going to lay out 8 cents here. This trade is actually already worth close to $1. It's like $91 stock right now, but I'm going to pay 8 cents. It should be the March 85 put. Sorry. I'm going to pay 8 cents to buy the March 90 100 call spread, sell the March 85 put. This is something where I will be happy to buy it if it goes down to 85. Love to own it at 85, and I get to own it from here at 90 to 100. If we race to 100 before March, great. I get my 10% return in a quarter. I'm pretty happy with that result. A little bit over a quarter, but I'm super happy with that result. I would take that any quarter of the year and just run and hide. But if we do that, just like the AVGO trade, I'll be able to buy that 100 call back, sell another call down the road, continue to lower my break even here, my cost basis for owning this stock. So absolutely love that idea for myself. It's just a trade idea. If you like it, let me know. If you had any thoughts on the AVGO trade, any questions about it, ask me. Any questions about Bitcoin, quantum computing? If I'm wrong about anything, let me know. Happy to hear it. Got any other thoughts about a better trade option than PayPal? I'm sure there's people who are more excited about Bitcoin than me out there. Just let me know. I'm wrong, and Bitcoin is not going to be worth any dollars in the future. It'll just be worth Bitcoin, and we all will be living in a Bitcoin world. You might be right. I'm open to that possibility. We'll see how it plays out, though. But again, this is all I got for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Joe Teague of Equity Armor Investments. Have a great week.
You know how the financial world goes. Here comes the buzzkill. Please make sure to take some time to read this boring disclaimer. We will owe you one.